You know what? I think most people, and I hate to say this, I think most people don't like themselves. I really do.
Absolutely not.
No, I think most people. I really think most people don't like themselves because their behavior, if they're remotely truthful with themselves, is so distasteful, and if they're just this much honest with themselves, their behavior speaks so much volumes about how much they dislike themselves.
Do you want to know what's funny about human nature is that, have you guys ever been anywhere at a party or anything and you are with somebody who's just fucking negative Nancy, right?
Yeah.
Like they have something to say about every single person that's sitting in the room. Those are the people that are the most unhappy with themselves, and this is why. Everything that they are picking out about each individual in the room is
about
themselves that they cannot stand.
Projection.
Energy vampire.
I'm going to tell you the thing I learned, Pat, with this. I have a different appreciation for people who physically have lost something, extremity, right? Let's say you find out you got diabetes, you've been walking on it, now they got to amputate your leg, right? Now you're in a wheelchair, you got a prosthetic and this, that. The mental that you have to go to spiritually within to accept the new reality of your life.
Mike Keefe, have you seen him?
That is a process. This is why sports, you hear it all the time, somebody, ACL torn. They're out of the game for a year or two, and they got to do all this rehab and all this different stuff. When you talk to them, it's the physical and the mental getting over, even if the doctor has repaired it, right? You got the new knee, but they still are struggling mentally to get the connection. So what I mean is, you can have an emotional breakdown. You can have something physically break you down. When you have something physically break you down that leads to emotions, it's a totally different experience.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. So
and that's what I'm saying is, and I said this at the first one, I've been cutting hair for 34 years. Imagine going into your living room. In the kitchen, I got a countertop, and I got clippers and trimmers and all kinds of stuff. And I walk in, and I'm looking at these trimmers, and I don't know what they are. I'm like, wow. What the hell are these things called again? Am I bugging? So you're looking at this microphone, and you're like, what is this thing called? That's a different thing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's the maze I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It spooks the shit out of you. So folks who are going through dementia, things like this, it's on a different level. And unless you're there, something physically happened to me. When my nervous system crashed, the first thing to go is memory loss.
Oh yeah, stress
I could be
is
looking
crazy.
at you and wouldn't know who you were. Like, I know you. I've been knowing you for a long time, right? What the hell is your name again? That's scary. And you're trying to, you don't even realize that your whole mindset has physically been altered. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? This ain't emotions. Something has happened to you internally that has knocked your brain off balance. And you going, what the hell is going on? And you can't control it.
This is like
that's scary.
This is like on a lesser scale, but people have been listening to the podcast, know about all the dead people in my life. But after my husband passed away, especially, and I've noticed it a couple of times since then, your vocabulary searching for words happens a lot.
Oh my God.
And also, I wanted to write thank you notes to everyone who was in the hospital room when we took his breathing mask off and everything. My handwriting looked so insane, and I was trying to focus on it, but I hope these people could read their cards because it was just so bad. But it was like the only way that I could write at that time, like whatever it was, a couple of weeks after, a month after.
You know what's scary about that? I'm so glad you said it, because I'll never forget. I was trying to read the Bible, but because my brain was so, my eyes.
Yep, the blurred vision
Couldn't
thing.
keep up.
Is it trauma?
I think so, because so just recently with my friend's passing, her husband wrote her obituary, and he wanted us all to kind of like look through it, and he was like, I just I've only known her for almost 13 years. You guys have known forever. Please like edit it. And I was like, oh, this I can do this for him, no big deal. And as I'm reading it,
You can't read it.
it was like very blurry for it. Like I had to like kind of pull back from the computer
Sure.
screen, like kind of think about it. And I was like, oh my God, because you still don't want to really admit like, okay, that she's really, really gone, even though, she was sick for a while when it was sort of coming. But to have that reality in front of me, it took me a minute to focus my eyes.
This is why grief counseling
It's a big
is
deal.
huge, because physically you lost someone.
Yeah.
And now the emotional side comes with it. That's very, very difficult. And we all will experience it in our lifetime. You know what I'm saying? Some folks know how to handle it a little differently based on whatever. But the folks who struggle with letting go,
Yeah.
accepting the new reality,
Yeah.
that is a very, very tough process.
And it depends on the person too, right? Like with my dad, he was 80. He was ready to go. It was all very peaceful. And so I haven't had any of those struggles, but the people that were younger in my life in their 30s or 40s or whatever.
More struggle.
Yeah, it's just
tough.
different. So it's
tough.
each person. Like when my mom passed, I didn't get any grief counseling, and then it manifested later, a couple years later, in like a weird depression and stuff. And she was only 58 when she passed. But like, so yeah, it's like these different things where you can accept one more than the other, if it's compounded, if it's too many
Right.
back to back that are like really
Oh, my
significant.
God.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's-
my
it's
God.
wild.
I want to go back to something that Tanya had said, and that you said that most people don't like who they are and themselves. I'll agree with that, but I'll also put this caveat to that statement, is that I don't think you like who you are until you know who you are.
Period.
The reason why I say that is because now I have the most self-love for myself that I've ever had in my entire life. And the reason why I have that is because I have clarity in my thoughts and emotions now.
But don't you think that loving yourself, though, because we were never taught how to do that, right? I think we can all universally agree that that's not something that like our parents just sat us down and was like,
You're
this
conceited.
is self-love.
Right.
But now that we're older, like when you learn how to love yourself, you have to. It's learning how to make yourself a priority above all others.
Well,
I will say that when you asked me earlier, like was some tools in my tool bag, that was another tool that I had to develop, was learning how to care for myself, because I always looked out for the people that
Everybody
were
else.
around me before I looked out for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's crazy. It's like, if I'm not 100,
You can't
how
be.
can I?
You got to
care
put
for
your
the
mask
ones?
on first.
Oh yeah, your own oxygen.
Yeah.
So I'll give a little scenario, and you can interject, because I know you don't want to say that, but I'll say it for you. One of the things that, and I told Stephanie this, one of the things, and I know Ramon, and we've had some real deep conversations, but one of the things that I know that he struggles with is the fact that he cares deeply for people, and he does not want to disappoint a lot of people. But I'll tell you what I believe in his life is that he's surrounded by, whatever friends or family, he is surrounded by a lot of takers and not a lot of givers. And
But
because
that's the case when people,
and he's an empath. He's an empath.
That's
Duh.
the case.
Understand
with
understand it, and it's the situation with we talk about being empaths all the time, right? When you're an empath and you care for a lot of people, unfortunately, you attract a lot of takers.
You damn right.
Yes, you do.
You
Yes,
attract
you
a
do.
lot of takers.
Well, because
And
we're the only people that are giving it out.
so it's very
Takers
hard.
are only going to go where it's being given out.
So I
Like-
understand. I
And
understand.
get taken advantage of.
To give you some clarity or detail to what Pat's talking about, like right now in my life, I have both parents basically I'm caring for. I have my dad that I didn't have a connection with for over 27 years, lived with me. Never received any growth guidance, and I was just so excited to have him back, but it really does nothing. It's like I grew up on my own. and I should have just held on to that. But at the same token, it's my father. But the same token is like he's going through health issues, and it seems like I'm caring about him more than he's caring about himself. And he has one job in his life, to care for herself. 3 months ago, my mom had a brain aneurysm. She was living on her own, and luckily I was able to call for help to get her to the hospital. So now, with the help of my friends and family, you know, she's still in a rehabilitation. I go to a hospital every other day to see my mom go through rehab, and it's tough. It's hard. And then I have the lady that, you know, that I'm with, where she's have different health issues. I'm not going to talk about that much, but it's like I got 3 main people in my life that I love and care about. And it's been hard. But you know what? The first part that I went through where I made everybody worried, if I didn't go through that, I don't think I could go through this right now.
Amen, brother.
Amen.
Right. Amen.
I have a question for you,
Amen.
Ramon.
Yeah.
So looking back at what you went through and realizing that, you know, during that whole process that you had to be the key person who was instrumental in making you better, right? So with the 3 people in your life, like your mom, I think is one situation because with her aneurysm, I know that there's, you know, dementia going on with that. So she can't really be accountable for taking care of herself.
Right.
But for the other 2 people in your life, if they are not willing to be the key participant in making themselves better, you got to know with after what you went through, you know that you can't do it either. That's above your pay grade.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm falling back on a lot of things that I was doing, but unfortunately, things keep happening with these people. And like Pat said, it's like I'm a protector. I'm sorry. Something that's hard to change, and unfortunately, even though I know they're not doing what they need to do, I can't just abandon.
Well, let me
Well,
tell you.
who's protecting you?
Let me tell you this.
I gotta protect me.
Let me tell you this. I'm sorry, I called you Keith. Ramon, after last year, you know I had cancer twice last year. I don't know if you know that. I went through breast cancer and thyroid cancer last year. And let me tell you what I learned through my situations last year. Everything I went through, I had to go through by myself, no matter what, right? And I made it through, and that's great. But everything this year, it's all about me. I have to come first. And everything I do, I have to do for me first. I care about everybody that I love too. I do. And my dad has health issues. My mom has health issues. My aunt is living with us, and she's got health issues. But I'm still going to look out for me first.
And you're right. You are correct, and that's something I had to learn. So when me sharing what I just shared, I'm not saying I'm not looking out for myself first.
Well, I'm just saying take care of your, like, I planned a trip for me.
Yeah, no.
For me to take time for me. So
again,
take time for you. That's all I'm saying.
Right. And
Okay.
I realized that, like, I'm about to go deep sea fishing in June. I can't wait for
right.
that to
good.
but it took
My
me
brother.
a minute to say, hey, I got to care about myself. I got to do things for myself. It's like most of y'all follow me on Facebook. Every year I'm in a different country or fishing or something. So I do get those times. But before then, like being married, I didn't do that. I just sucked up what life was giving me, and I was miserable for years.
Pat, man, I posted. Remember the conversation we had a couple weeks ago at the shop?
Yep.
I posted. Yeah, you just came by. Great conversation, man. My brother. And this goes for everybody, but I want you to hear this. So, the biggest thing in life for us is why. Why is this happening? Why me? Why am I going to? Why? We always ask why. When things happen to us that we don't think should be happening to us, not me. It happens to everybody else, but not me, not my family. Why? Right? So when this happened to me, that's what I asked. Why? I start having my pity parties, feeling sorry for myself, and this goes to the conversation. I personally believe, this is just me personally, that as sure as we all must pass this life, It's a definite. I also believe every person will come to the crossroads in their life.
Amen.
Yeah.
Everyone. You can't even escape it. It's appointed to everybody. And you say, well, what's that? The crossroads is a place where when you get there, you're by yourself. You are all alone. Can't nobody help you.
Nope.
Yep.
It's a place, the most frightening place that you've ever experienced.
Yep.
But it's the most liberating place.
Yep.
And it's going to test the inner you. It has nothing to do with the physical you. It will test the spirit within, because that's what it is, right? And I said, why? You can, and when it's time for you to change, and when it's time for you to grow, you're going to go through some trials and tribulations and difficulties
Amen.
in this lifetime.
Yep.
Amen.
That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
You can't avoid it. The question is, what are you going to turn to get you through it? Because you physically can't do nothing about it.
Why not? Why can't you physically do anything about it?
I couldn't do nothing.
I mean, you saw.
Think about
you seeked help.
But I still went through it. There's a period of time. You can heal from it. But what has to happen is, I give the analogy of the caterpillar. The caterpillar is very mushy and slow in its movement. It kind of wanders around, going nowhere fast. Just has no clue. But when the metamorphosis changes, it has no idea that it's a butterfly. It's just a caterpillar. Very unassuming. Nobody wants to touch it. But when it's time for it to become the butterfly and be beautiful and free, it has to go into a place of darkness called a cocoon, right? And there's some changes that have to happen inside the cocoon. That's where it's the resistance.
But I understand. I'm sorry, but I understand what you're saying about this is that you're not going to reach that metamorphosis until you reach that crossroad in your life.
It's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And the
Until-
physical
until-
happens inside the cocoon, not on the outside. So
Exactly.
it's not the physical. You can't see it. It's internal.
It's exactly. It has to happen.
So I'll give, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Tanya, because I remember a conversation that we had a few months ago. It was a side conversation on one of our podcasts, and and I think I told her that at some point you have to put yourself first. And I understand, and I have seen in the changes in you in the last few months, and I have to give you props, because you have been very, very goal oriented in the actions that you're doing. Sometimes you say something different, but your actions that you've been doing are very intentional. The going to the hotel by yourself, is the going to dinner by yourself, or the this or the that, or the self-love, the self-care, it's the putting yourself first stuff, man. And you're making that transition to really finding the love for you, for yourself, not necessarily for because of other people in your life.
I like me. I love me.
There you go. And
I'm a good
where were
person.
you?
I'm a nice person.
You're a great
Prior
person.
to the juice.
I didn't like myself before, but I love me
Right?
now.
Look, I remember.
Because something happened.
hold on,
No,
we
you
need to
can't.
stop. We need to stop there for a second, because y'all ain't hear this. I need to dive into that.
Oh God, here we go.
Let's talk about
Here
this.
we go.
Let's talk about
It's
this,
Pat.
because you just said it.
What?
You just said it.
I love me.
You didn't like yourself.
I didn't. No,
Why?
I mean I've always liked myself, but I didn't love myself before.
Talk about it.
Um,
Talk about it. We
Well,
real energy, girl.
I've always liked myself. I've always been a great person, but I was too worried about what other people saw in me instead of what I see in myself. I mean, it's not my fault that people don't see how wonderful I am. That's their loss, not mine.
What happened to make you make that switch? To finally say, you know what? I love me.
The list is so long, Peanut. We would be here
Give me
all
three.
day.
Give me three. Give me three.
3 things.
3 things.
Well, obviously, all the stuff that I went through last year, with the whole being ill thing. I don't have time. Life is too short. I don't have time for that. I mean, I'm blessed because everything could have been way worse than it was, and I'm blessed to say that thank God everything was small. So that's good. Heartache. Being in a place of work that didn't appreciate me for 15 years, and everything is lost. Love lost, all of that, and I'm over it. And I don't have time for that anymore. I have things that I want to accomplish, and I'm going to accomplish them. It may take me a little longer than I planned. You know, I'm a late bloomer in a lot of things, but when I get to where I want, when I get on the path that I want to go to, I'm full force.
It keeps you young. Doing things
It does.
Self-talk matters.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk.
It does. It absolutely does.
Self-talk, what you say to yourself
Absolutely.
daily
Let me
Yeah.
tell you something.
matters.
I'm reading a book right now. I'm going to send it to you. It's about overthinking, and it's very good. I just started it. Thank you, James.
I
Hack.
made a switch from saying, like, especially working out and the juicing.
Well, I was gonna say Peanut was gonna talk about the
Yes.
Yeah.
post juice. That's important.
I gotta get up and go work out today. No, I get to get up and go work out today. It's a different shift in the mindset.
It's what you say and how, not even what you say, but how you say it is what you,
It's you're doing something with a purpose. You're doing something with a purpose, right?
And even
So
how
when
many
you're
people were walking around calling? How many people walk around and call themselves stupid?
Right,
Oh,
right.
me.
Well,
All
you
the
know,
time.
you know, I would say this, like, growing up, my mom was very religious. It was like, I remember she had this book, Power of the Tongue. But I didn't understand what they were saying, power of the tongue. Yeah, words are powerful. Yeah. But you also got to look at it. Words are spells. It's like what you say out
You
your
can
mouth.
cast negative or positive.
Yeah.
Real
Yes.
talk.
But they're
Real talk.
spells. That's why it's called spelling. And it's like, when somebody presented me that way, I was like, well, shit, that makes
Words
sense.
are very positive.
right?
Spelling, spells. So the things that you say, especially for yourself,
You manifest.
you gotta manifest the
Good.
positive.
Well, you
Good-
know
good
what? You know what I
segue.
learned?
Yeah.
You know what I learned is I'm very good at spelling for others, but I had a hard time spelling for myself. I can encourage you.
You can
to
have
become
my
a
whole
president,
life mapped out.
But I
Right.
had a hard time doing it for myself.
But-
I can encourage everybody in this room to be the greatest person
why-
in the world, but
why is that? Why?
because
is
and
that?
I also realized recently that I am so good at pouring into everybody else, but I was depleting myself. And I'm like, you know what? I love y'all, but forget y'all. What about me?
All right, Ramon, and then I'm gonna go to Chris. What are you telling yourself now?
What I tell myself now is I gotta remind myself every time I talk to myself, like I just said, words are spells. So I try to make sure I say the right things, not just mentally, but out loud to myself. Because of the situations that I'm in, whether I created it or whether it happens. But I'm the keeper of my light.
Amen. Chris.
Love that.
For me, this was a spiritual journey, so I get it now. And I said that from the beginning, the first time. I didn't understand it, but now looking at what transpired, this was all about trust for me. Learning to trust the very one who blessed me with the voice in the first place. It's not my voice. It's a voice that God blessed me with. I didn't give it to myself. So I'm saying someone gave it to me. Someone made my voice the way that it is. So I had to acknowledge that. And I put more confidence and trust in my voice than I did the one who gave it to me. And that's why I was comfortable in any situation, because I could sing. The minute he took the voice away, I had to find a different place to call upon, which was God. Because I couldn't help myself. My mama couldn't help me. My friends couldn't help me. I found myself in a dark situation by myself, alone, scared to death like a little baby. And I cried out. And for me now, I get it. We're going to deal with your trust issues. You're going to learn how to trust today. Either trust me or trust the negative Satan in your ear telling you to kill yourself, take that knife and slice your throat. All these different things that's going on in the mind. And I had that. And I said, you know what? Trust me, even though you don't understand what's going on with your body, you have no clue about the physical body, the inner body, you don't know how it's connected, shut up and just trust what I'm about to do. That's a very difficult thing to do.
Yep.
To trust a higher power, to be real and transparent enough in your life to bring you back to somewhere you don't think you're going to make it back. And that's what happened to me.
But
and
you know what you saying that? Trusting in that higher power, a lot of that is you.
It's me. It's inner.
It's inner.
It's inner.
Yep.
It's
That's-
inner.
that's all
it's
it
like,
is.
you know.
It's
It's your thoughts, right?
It's
It's your
Hold
thoughts.
on. What are you telling? What are
It's
you?
inside.
What are you telling yourself? What are you spelling yourself?
What do I spell in myself? I don't know. I spell in myself, I guess, just through health. You know what I mean? Health is the most important thing, I think, for me. When I said the value thing about health, I meant to say the health is the most important thing you can do. So
sometimes, sometimes you can spell to yourself and not verbally have to say it. And I can say this to you because I know you. You're so kind. Your heart is so kind and so pure. You will help anybody that you want to help.
Yeah.
Right? You don't even have to know them. If you see a homeless person, homeless handouts, things like that, that's a positive affirmation that you're saying to yourself without verbally having to say it. It's just something within you saying,
I don't even know
I want to help.
I don't even know that's happening with me
because
but
it's a natural thing.
Yeah.
For
me, what I do is like even as soon as I wake up in the morning, I try to focus on my health, like on my body, my health, just
mind.
But you do it through a
journey.
mental connection too. You know, it's not just. So I just want people to know who are listening that you're not just like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym,
right,
and drink the juice. You visualize your juice going through your body. You do your meditation, so it's very connected.
Therapeutic.
For you,
It's therapeutic. Like the first thing I do when I wake up, literally, you know, I drink my juice. Like that's the first thing that I let soak in my body. Like I visually, when I drink it, right, it's a red container full of liquid, right, and our body is blood, right, so I visually drink the juice and I visually feel the juice going through my entire body all the way to my toes.
That's
right?
a mindset.
It's a mindset, exactly. It's a mindset. So I do that, and then I'm thinking, all right, so this juice is really good for me. It's got everything, not everything I need, but a lot of the things that I need for my body to sustain.
That's the course of your day.
To sustain and have a good journey. You know, I'm doing the best I can for my body.
Yeah.
Right after I drink my juice, I'll put my timer on my phone, and I'll meditate. I'll sit there to clear my head. So I got my juice going, clearing and it's just
right state of mind.
Right state of mind, head, you know, so I start off my day. If I don't do that the morning, I'm off for the rest of the day. I feel off-kiltered.
That is what you're
And
telling yourself.
push-ups and
Clear
squats.
my mind for the day. That is telling yourself something. That your mind needs to be clear for the day.
My
That's
mind needs to be
exactly
clear,
right.
and then I do it.
Right.
Then I clear it. And
Right.
then
Awesome.
And then after I get done with that, I do some push-ups. Right?
So you
Every
get your-
single day.
You get your
the blood
physical
flowing.
body.
The blood flowing, right?
Right.
I do all these different things, and then I was telling her, I just started implementing squats. I'm doing squats now. So for like 45 minutes, I set my body out for the rest of the day.
Incredible.
All right, so
Incredible.
Miss Patricia, I need you to tell us what you're spelling, but I'm gonna give you something. Please don't use humor. Because I know
She's not an alien. She's an alien.
You're about to hit me with something funny, but I want you to get introspective for a second. Yeah, she
I
is.
know
She is.
it's my shtick, man.
I know
That's
it
what
is.
the listeners
I know
tune
it
in
is.
for.
I want you to be vulnerable with us. Go ahead and be vulnerable with us.
Now she's got to work hard.
It's not about being vulnerable. This is where I feel that I am an observer of life and not a participant. Like
She's soaking it all
I
in.
do
That's where
things,
she's at. That's what she's
but they
spelling.
just sort of I do not get up at 6 a.m. like my better half. He's pure of heart. Oh no, I was gonna make a joke. God damn it, I can't do that. You know,
We
like
still laughed.
for you know what I do is the appreciating my physical well-being, especially after all the illness I've seen. And it's like when I walk the dog in the morning, I will sort of say, okay, look at this beautiful sky, or like even if it's raining, I'm like, oh Edgar, look, it's like when we were in Seattle and this makes your little grass grow, because he hates the rain, right? Edgar's my dog. And I'm like, you wouldn't have the grass without the rain, and like, aren't you happy about that? And I will talk out loud to the dog on the walk, by the way.
I love Edgar.
And just sort of appreciating, like, I'm like, oh my God, you're walking. This is so amazing. Like, there
So
are
you're
people,
more in the moment.
Yeah, there are people who can't walk, and you're walking, and isn't this phenomenal?
Yeah.
And it is, because we take it so for granted, right? I mean, even if just like that you can pee, there are people with kidney disease.
So you're
There-
always
you know what
present.
I mean? Yeah, like these.
I
That's
love
good.
that.
That's the best way to do it. It's
That's
called
amazing.
Yeah.
mindful. It's called mindfulness.
I am
Being mindfulness.
I am mindful, and so I just try to remind myself of the things that are lucky, the little things.
I love
Always
that.
joke about my lattes, but seriously, shout out to Cafe Unido and Shaw. They make this perfect velvety latte, and that barista in that moment doing their best for me, and me having this like nice setup to my day is like really important to me. When I work out, I think you should work out because you can, right?
Not because you have to.
Yeah. And I mean, I like it, but it is also like, everyone has that moment where you're like, oh my God, one more squat, or like my lower back hurts, or, now we all have those things. But it's like, I can still do it. And so the fact that I can makes me do it simply because I can.
Exactly.
That's
and
cool. That's really cool.
We're gonna go to Stephanie and then we're gonna go to Tanya, but I'm gonna interject first
okay,
because
good.
y'all are not interviewing me. I'm gonna interview myself, right? So
Somebody else can ask.
I was gonna ask him.
Go
so.
ahead, interview me.
So Patrick,
Bring it, Tanya.
The Tanya Gordon Show with Patrick
Tanya.
Henry.
I used to do this at in my peer counseling class back in the day. But anyway, so Patrick, what do you do to speak to yourself every day?
So Patricia and I have the dubious distinction of having a lot of deaths in our lives. You know, our family and loved ones, friends. I still get choked up about this shit because I have not dealt with my dad's death, and I should. But that's a story.
Next Real Feels.
That's a story for a different day. But the thing for me is I'm thankful every day.
Mm-hmm.
Story yesterday when I went to see my mom. She said, I got to tell you something. And immediately, guess what I started thinking?
Thinking death.
Who the hell just died? And she said, I got to tell you something. So, you know, I sat down and I said, I was like,
Pat, I got to tell you something. Or Pat, I need to tell you something.
No, it was Pat, I got to tell you something.
Okay.
So, because immediately, and I joked to her, I'm like, who just died? She started laughing. I said, I'm sorry, I'm traumatized, man. What do you? This is my trauma response. You know, I'm traumatized. She already told me that I need to deal with my brother's death. You can hear me choking up right now. You know, I need to deal with my brother's death, and I need to deal with my dad's death. I have not dealt with it, but what I'm thankful for every day, and I spell to myself, is I get to do it over again. Whatever it is I screwed up, I get to redo it. Short story. This week, Haran and I, we were in a trading group, and I screwed myself up this week. And it was all me because I was being emotional. I was up probably $2,200 this week, you know, in trading, and I was trading options. I was up big. And, you know, I should have just said, all right, week is good. Next week is a new week. But no, I let my emotions get the best of me and, you know, ended up the week down $300, you know. But it could have been a really, really good week. And I texted him. I said, these are the lessons that I have to learn from and to not let my emotions get the best of me. And I get to relive this experience again. So what I spell to myself is that I'm thankful that I'm here for the human experience. Mm-hmm. I get to experience this thing over. And
get one more time.
I tell you, man, I am on a path of self-enlightenment. When Ramon knows this, Stephanie knows this, I am extremely protective of my energy. You know this. I am very, very, very extremely protective of my energy. Mm-hmm. If your energy somehow screws with my energy, I will literally tell you to leave my life.
Yes.
Because I am very, very protective of my energy.
You know what, Pat? I'm going to add on to what you just said. You were always protective of your energy, but now you understand what you're protecting, so it's different.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm more enlightened. I'm more guys, you know, guys out there in podcast land, let me tell you something. I may not be where I want to be in my life in status, but I have never been happier in my entire life. Yeah. I don't have the money that I want. I don't have the house I want. I don't have the car I want. Those are my worldly possessions. But I walk around in life today as a clear-minded individual, and you cannot screw with my aura. It is almost impossible for somebody to screw with my aura. I yelled at her a couple of days ago because she texted me something and I misunderstood it. We have a thing that we say to each other. It hit my ears or my eyes differently. So she texted me a bunch of emojis and I took it the wrong way. But it was only like 20 minutes later, I figured out that I screwed up and I read into a situation that was not there. So I reverted to the old Patrick for a hot second.
So you didn't ride down the French.
And also
bread.
Miami when our food was really late.
But I was very, very cognizant that I reverted.
That's self-growth.
Yeah.
I didn't dwell on it.
That's
I didn't dwell on it. I didn't sit on it because a situation like that would have been a week or two.
We would, yeah. I mean, really, as much as it pissed me off in that moment, I was like, you know what? You need a 90-day break. It sounds to me like you need a 90-day break. Like that's literally but in the past, that's where that would have went.
Yeah,
we can't have that now because of the podcast.
So look at the maturity level, though.
I know.
Pat,
We grown ups.
before you let Steph and Tanya speak, I want to share something with you.
All right.
And I want to know if it resonates with you.
Okay.
And hear this, called High on Life, and I'll give you just a taste of it. I'm high on life and I'm running free.
Mm-hmm.
I'm full of joy and I'm doing me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm smiling more than I ever did.
Yeah.
I'm having fun like a little kid.
There you go.
I'm learning things that I never knew.
Mm-hmm.
I'm changing my point of view.
There you go.
I'm sleeping these days very well. I'm so at peace it ain't hard to tell.
Oh my God, girl.
Girl.
I'm used to talking to her. Sorry.
Voice of an angel.
Coming soon.
So I'm used to talking to her. I'm used to talking to her all the time. So
Coming soon. High on Life.
We have these intellectual conversations all the time. But like,
can
man,
can I share one funny story? I remember.
Just
You
one.
gotta sing it. You got to sing it.
No.
Sing the story.
I'm not going to follow this guy, but it is about this guy. So I remember we in high school, we in a talent show.
Oh, okay.
Oh God.
He sings this love song. I forgot what it was. I can't even remember.
You remember it?
Song.
No.
Yes. It was. I think it was a senior year.
I forgot
whatever.
what I did yesterday, so I damn sure know what I did
So,
30 years ago.
I'm thinking I heard every old school song that ever came out. I'm thinking that was his song. So one day I'm in my neighborhood in Pine Spring, and this guy goes by playing the song you sung, and I'm chasing him down like, yo, that's my man Pete. That song. Where you get that from? Unbeknownst to me that
Jodeci. It was Jodeci.
No, it wasn't Jodeci. It was even older than that. But it was like, yo, it's like you the one guy's like that's what you're known for, man. I looked up to you most of my life.
Love you, baby.
Still look up to you.
You're my man.
Man, like
They're bromancing.
all right, now don't get carried away. don't be a hater. No, but yeah, man. But I mean, men need to tell each other how important we are to each other. I mean, not just men, but just people.
No, but
individuals.
it's true. You know, there's so much data on men not having deep friendships, and so I tease Huron about it, but it's like so cute. You know, like when Keith calls him and he's like, "Gotta get my AirPods," and they get on the phone for a while, or he's like, "Oh, it's Patrick, I gotta take the call," or whatever. And it's like it's adorable, but it's also really nice because you know wives can die, husbands can die, you know, and then you don't have a friend group, and you're sort of like stuck.
But you know what? The reason that they went through that is for that reason because it's kind of culturally.
Yeah, it's not encouraged.
I mean, it's encouraged now. Like my daughter's age group, it's more encouraged that they have that. But in the Gen X, in before, it wasn't really socially acceptable for men to have that, and they should have that.
Stephanie, what are you spelling?
These days, self-love. But my self-love these days is definitely looking a lot different than I thought it was going to. As most of you know, and those of you that don't, I have a huge problem with boundaries. Very big problem with boundaries. I don't like telling people no. I always want to be a people pleaser. Anytime anybody asks me to do anything, even though if it's to my own detriment, I will do it. And I am definitely the last on my list of priorities. So in setting boundaries, I have had to relearn and teach myself to not apologize for putting myself first, to not apologize or make excuses for why I'm setting a boundary, why I'm not dealing with your bullshit, why I'm standing up for my peace. So that's where I'm at today. That's what I'm spelling. It's self-love, but in a more disciplinary way.
Nice.
God, she's my soul sister.
Tanya, what are you spelling?
I am spelling, definitely Stephanie is definitely my soul sister, so all of that. But also, I'm spelling that love is universal, but it has boundaries. So my love is wide and deep, but it also has boundaries.
I'm glad you're finding those
I like
boundaries.
that.
I'm glad you're finding. So, you know, we're going to close out this podcast here very soon, but our two guests, Ramon and Chris, we usually close out the podcast with one word or one saying is that we like to serve purpose on the Real Energy podcast. So, Ramon, I'm going to give you the floor first, brother. You know, tell the listeners the purpose you want to serve or the message you want to leave and impart on us.
Got me thinking. It's so much. But one thing, just don't forget yourself. And it's nothing wrong to ask for help, especially when you got people around you that love you. And that's what I got to remind myself about every day. Because life is tough, and you don't have to go through it by yourself. But if you choose to do that, then it's going to be harder. But if you surround yourself with good people, lean on them good people, because you're not alone. And if they say they love you, they're going to show it. If not, then you're with the wrong group.
A freaking man.
Amen.
Amen.
Chris, second visit on our show, brother. I had to bring you back for a second, man.
Thanks, man.
Your message, was very important to a lot of people because they were going through that situation. Impart some wisdom on us, brother.
Not a whole lot, man. Just my point of view now. I mean, I've always been, but more strong now. Love is colorblind.
Yes.
I pray every night for peace and love on earth. I just believe that we're all here, going through this human experience. And we're spiritual beings going through this human experience. And, we got to learn to coexist and love one another. Pay it forward. Always pay it forward.
Pay it forward. Gentlemen, thank you for being on our show today. We appreciate you coming on our show. For all of our listeners out there, you need to think about, and our viewers out there, think about what you're spelling to yourself.
I love that.
What is this message that you're
What are you
telling to yourself?
That's cool.
What are the words are you saying to saying what's that self-talk that you're saying to yourself? Mm-hmm. Think about that for a second. And I think about what Michelle said last week, and I'm actually going to start to try to incorporate this, because I think that what she said last on our episode last, Michelle Goodwin, Joy of Coconut, shout out. She said it's important to journal, and I think I'm going to start doing this because writing these, you can think about these words, but when you write these words down and you actually start reading, you can actually see these things that you're actually saying to yourself.
What's funny about that for me personally is I'm a songwriter. Everybody know I sing and write, so I would say 99.9% of the stuff that I write is nothing more than my personal journal of my life. I'm telling the story of my life based on my experiences, my point of views, how I feel. So if you listen to the lyrical content of what I'm talking about, that is me pushing that out into the atmosphere. So that is my journal. I write every day. Been doing it for 40 years.
So with that, Joy of Coconut, Michelle Goodwin, she has a journal out on Amazon. You can buy it. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Real Energy Podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Be sure to look at us on YouTube. All of our videos are on there. This episode will be posted very, very soon. Check out our audio on all your audio podcast platforms. Peace.